handicap parking available, had to fake the limp. I play to win, lose on occasion, learn from it. Turn stomach shrooms, got me pacing. Cruise on a spaceship, booze by the cases. I'm bound to black out like the bubonic plague hit. Baby, Air Max is looking like the Gold Ranger. Closet flooded from the drip on my coat hangers. Big and tall, so my clothes tailored. Ain't rich at all, I just cop now and old later. Vision 2020, whip a 08er. The bumper stickers say Go Raiders. As I'm in the scope, getting more paper. Grind until I go major. I'm a pro skater, Lone Ranger. Need my own acre with no neighbors. Unless I find me a homemaker. She say I can.
Yeah.
Hey, what up, Earthlings? You know what I mean? I think that'll
I like
be
that.
the,
I like that. I like that.
Ruin Your Day got the Riders. You know what I mean? We'll have the Meanwhile on Earthlings. You know
I like
what
that.
For the squad. What's good?
What's up, y'all?
We're begrudgingly back. Avo, said he wouldn't let us do a watch again unless we brought the podcast back.
You're welcome, guys.
Yeah, thanks, man. Got
So
your
here we
producer
are.
hat on now. I love it.
Yeah, shout out to everyone in the chat tuning in live with us. We'll answer some questions at the end, maybe. We played a snippet of a song in this intro called Steak and Shrimp. It's actually me and Non Fierro. I was dying earlier today. Speaking of, I guess I could save this for the song preview. We'll play the whole song at the end. But this was a funny thing earlier this morning. Because we named the song Steak and Shrimp after his opening bars, right? Steak, surf and turf burrito with the steak and shrimp. That's his first bars. I was posting it. And I was like, oh, there's food emojis for both of these, steak and shrimp. And then I was thinking about it, and I texted him I just now caught the subliminal. I'm like, you're steak and I'm shrimp, huh? Non Fierro and Illmac, steak and shrimp.
Oh, that's funny.
And he was like, I mean, nah, but for sure, yeah, now.
yeah.
You know what I mean?
Dude, it's all about when you don't know what the song should be called. You just take something lit from a bar. Bro, I literally...
random thing.
Bro, I was mapping out the track list for Water Buffaloes 3. And there was 3 songs. I just did the same shit. We didn't have titles for them. Right now, they were just the titles of the beat, which happens more than not.
Yep.
And then I'm just all right, what did Milk say in his bar? All right, boom.
Yeah.
What's something Fredo said? Oh, he said a Vegas background? All right, the song's called Vegas Background.
You take the tight little sounding things,
Yeah.
the little, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
That's always, because I have songs to this day that are just beat names. It's Valid Bounce 001, and shit because that was just the name of the beat.
Yeah, how many finals do you have? The real final when you're exporting a track?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's always I have 5 versions of a one song, the Broken Inside, that, and it's Broken Inside, and then it's Broken Inside 2, and then it's Broken Inside New.
Yeah, newest.
Yeah, new.
That's what I rotate.
And
Yeah,
newest was the last one.
Yeah, for sure. I fucking already have weird random names for my beats too. Most of the time it's either what the sample is, or if it's a piano, it'll be piano slap, or it'll
actually be Piacno.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Because I type fast. I have a hella typos in my file name.
PIAQNO3.
You know where I was trying to get though. You know what I meant.
For sure.
Nah, but or it'll be I'll just be what's the first word I think of when I hear this beat? And it'll be teleport. And I'm all right, yeah, teleport, 159 BPM.
Yep.
But if anyone were to browse through my archives and look, it'd be what the fuck, bro? What is this?
No, 100%.
Tokyo.
A lot of times too, you'll do the sample or something with the drum. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Guitar chords, 185.
Yeah. No, that shit had me dying though, because I edited his little video of him rapping, and I was it wasn't until I was doing the emojis I should put a steak emoji and then a shrimp, and I was steak and shrimp. Nah, man. That sneaky son of a bitch. We're laughing too because he brought it up. He's like that's the thing where fans or someone will be oh, I just got this bar. How you said this, and you're
Yeah. That's not what I meant, but yeah.
Actually, yeah, that.
Yep, you got it.
For sure.
Yeah.
I love though when that's like, oh, sometimes I'll do that to myself. You ever done that where it's like I have a bar and I thought it was some slick shit, and then later I'm like, yo, that actually has this meaning, which is crazy.
Yeah.
You know.
Or I've had it where there'll be like it's usually an internal, but there'll be a rhyme there that I didn't even mean to do. Where I'm like, I was trying to rhyme these strings, but I was like, oh shit, like that little internal. Yeah. Like I've definitely had verses like that where I realized I rhymed more than what I wrote, like or meant to write. You know what I'm saying?
Yep.
Like
100%. Yeah, you little rap nerds. You know what I mean? Shout out RYD. You know, we're in the RYD studios right now, but we still got the meanwhile in our texturals. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
What's this book, From Hell?
Oh, From Hell. This is I haven't finished it. I made it a little ways through, but overall, it's a graphic novel by Alan Moore, who like
shout out to Alan Moore. He's a legend.
Yeah, who's just like written some classic shit, like all the best shit. The cover is lit as fuck. But it's basically the gist of it is it's like fiction, quote unquote, maybe based on reality, and it's his take on like a graphic novel based on his theory of who the actual Jack the Ripper was. And it's like it's a graphic novel, but it's mostly like real people, real scenarios, things that have been documented and all this stuff. There was actually a movie which I don't think I've seen it, but there's the movie, right? That's based off this novel, and it's got like,
I don't know.
I'm pretty sure it has like I have the memory of a goldfish, but I'm pretty sure it's like the joint that like Johnny Depp was in or something. Like it's like the huge movie about Jack the Ripper. It's actually like based on, and it might be called From Hell. I'm pretty sure it's called From Hell. But yeah, fire. I haven't finished it, but it's super fire. It's basically like about like some doctor that like worked for so far what I've read, it's like the doctor who works for the queen and like for the royal family essentially. And it kind of starts off where one of the royal family, like the younger boys, princes or whatever, you know what I mean, is, there's some pregnancies and things, and that's how the murders start, is basically like theorized that these pregnancies happened and the prince can't be out doing that, and it's like send the the doctor basically kind of reads between the lines and takes it upon himself to go murk these women that really this like royal son is out living his best life with. So yeah, I've gotten like not very far, but it's already pretty clear that that's where it's going. It's really dope though. Alan Moore's the fucking GOAT. Saga, the Swamp Thing is like, I love that shit.
He's done so much like iconic comic book characters and his own shit though. You know what I'm saying? Like he has his own shit, but then some of his DC shit is like
Watchmen, V for Vendetta.
Yeah, ridiculous.
Ton of dope shit.
Why don't you talk about your love for Swamp Thing, man?
Swamp Thing,
because I never knew Swamp Thing was even like a dope story until he started reading it, and when he was telling me about it, I was like, "Whoa, this is actually like hella cool."
Swamp Thing is super cool. Now they're bringing it into like the movie universe. That's amazing.
Yeah, and they're like pulling a lot.
Yeah, because James Gunn has like took over DC basically now, and he basically announced like a couple movies that they're doing, and Swamp Thing was one of them. And
they did like a 10-year plan.
Yeah, they kind of mapped it out. But Swamp Thing, and he referenced the comic that Illmac was specifically telling me about. Like, dude, this one's so dope. And then like James Gunn was like, yeah, this is the comic we're referencing for the Swamp Thing movie. Yeah,
it's Saga, the Swamp Thing. I haven't been in the comics for that long, as far as like it's been a rediving into since I was a kid, and even when I was a kid I wasn't like super either Marvel or whatever. It was just like when we go to the corner store like 7-Eleven, sometimes they had those like spinning magazine racks and I'd like get what I could, but I was never a big comic head. But back in the day, like I watched like the series, like the Incredible Hulk, Lou Ferrigno, and like Swamp Thing had a series back in the day. I think there's been like a reboot in the '90s, like late '90s or whatever. But the OG like Swamp Thing series, I remember watching and loving that shit. And Flash. But it was a character I always just thought was super lit. And so when I was kind of rediving in the last like 6 to 8 months or whatever it's been where I've, redove into comics, I was like, nostalgia first. Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, always one of my favorites. Yep. Dive into that. The Last Ronin is actually what really got me going. Remember, I read it and I'm like, this is the craziest.
So good.
I didn't realize this is the world of graphic novels. You know what I mean?
Dude, The Last Ronin is so good. If
crazy.
You ever want to check out a good graphic novel, The Last Ronin is really sick.
Yeah,
Very
it's
serious.
It's the first collab like storyline of Teenage Mutant Ninja
Done
Turtles
by the
OGs in like 20 plus years or whatever. But it's like dark. It's not on some kiddie shit. It's like one of them that's alive. All the brothers have died, and it gets super dark. But that was like
the fucking limbs and decapitation.
Oh yeah, he's about to like commit suicide.
Yeah, bro, just fucking Splinter
Seppuku or whatever.
In that botched meeting,
Yeah.
Splinter goes fucking crazy.
Yeah. But anyways, like that was where my journey started. But I was like, oh yeah, Swamp Thing, I loved that.
Yeah.
And so I went out and got like Saga the Swamp Thing, like the graphic novels, the trade paperbacks. Since then, I've gotten a bunch of one-off issues and key issues and stuff as well. Once I started collecting like that, but it's a thing where there was already a bunch of Swamp Thing comics, like the OG creators and stuff, and then around like issue 20 or whatever, like it became Saga the Swamp Thing. Alan Moore came in to write it, and he kind of reimagined the world and was like, rather than having this superficial kind, not to say the old shit was superficial, but he was like, let's add some depth to this. And like, I wish I had a copy, but even like the one-offs, it's like, it says something like, it's like Saga the Swamp Thing, and then there's a subtitle that's like, mature suspense or something like that, where it's like, this isn't just some kiddie stuff, you know what I mean? And the storyline's really dope. Like he kind of reimagines the origins of Swamp Thing and like adds this internal struggle of him struggling with humanity, his own humanity, and if he is even human anymore, because he was we won't get into his whole story, but crazy. And that was like the second layer of me getting into comics, which it's dope because I was like hella championing it to like Chase and the other homies who know, who've been in this comic shit, been in this world, when I was kind of like, I rap, and he's kind of a slept on character in a way. Like,
the way they did him in the Injustice games is really cool too, which gives me like, oh, okay, live action, this is about to be nuts. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. Nah, but honestly, like, I always fucked with comics, and I consider myself like a comic book head, but the shit that was more pivotal for me was like the animated series. Mm-hmm. You know what I'm saying? Like, I used to have old Batman and Ninja Turtles, Wolverine, Spawn, fucking Punisher, Death of Superman. Like, I had a lot of the old comics and shit, but the animated series, like the Fox Kids animated series of Batman and Spider-Man and Justice League, that's the shit that really, like, X-Men, like, really, really like develop my love for that shit.
Yeah, I used to love like Batman Beyond.
Yo, Batman Beyond is fire. Dude.
That was like mid early 2000s, late 90s or something.
90s, honestly. Yeah, because the animated Batman series was like 92 or 3 or some shit. Whatever the year, like a couple years after the Tim Burton movie, which is like late 80s. So like that whole run was crazy. They were killing that shit, bro. But that's what got me in love with those characters. And like that whole world. Yeah. Saga the Swamp Thing, and like reading that and just getting hooked as well. I was like, everything V for Vendetta, almost said Doomsday Clock. Watchmen, Alan Moore, like reading those, I'm like, oh, this fool. And so then I got this because it was like his like, I think true like jump off. You know what I mean? Was from him. Because like I don't know like how I basically read most of the ones that people consider like the classics of like Marvel and DC. For the most part, I've read like a good majority of those because as I grew to love these characters, especially once the movies and shit, like, I went out and went back and got a bunch of comics at one phase of my life. World War Hulk and fucking Civil War, House of M, The Killing Joke, like, all the, there was like a chunk of my life where I was super on that shit and reading all the, whatever people would consider the classics and shit. But,
Killing Joke's also Alan Moore as well.
Yep, Killing Joke is crazy. Yep.
Go dude. Yeah, so that's what this is. I would love to do like there's a few ideas of wanting to do like graphic novel, and I've thought also about like Rap Off. We do these battles, but I have like a show IP like that we've developed behind just the battles, where there's a main character and the journey and the origin story, and I've thought more and more about like, man, would actually be crazy, like, instead of, because of all the how resource heavy animation and doing long form animation is, it might be a little more manageable to do like a graphic novel or comic series based in the Rap Off world. That's something
that'd be a really cool piece of media.
Yeah, and I've kind of like played out transferring sort of the idea for the show into like issues, one-off issues. Similar breakdown of plot, but it's a kind of overwhelming to get into like sucking at something again. Like whatever new thing, like something that's like an art of both writing and then also in a medium of graphic novel. It's like learning so much shit, and I'm a sponge, but it's also like I sit down like, okay, I'm gonna come up with the first issue, like the 3-part of this issue and the larger storyline of a season, and I'm just like, oh, I suck at this. Like I have these general ideas, but it's like out of your comfort zone to when we're at the point we put in 10, 20, 30, 40,000 hours in music, and to be like, okay, I'm venturing into this new world and have to suck for a while until I like start to learn it more,
Yeah.
It's like kind of hard to rip that bandage off. So whenever I like I'd like start trying to write issue 1 through 3, this is the storyline, and then I'll be like, I'd like take some notes down, some broad notes, and then get overwhelmed and frustrated, and that's what's led me back to rapping again. I was like, I feel creative, I'm just gonna write a Raising the Bar. Instead,
well, because you know that like that's what you're good at, and it's like with something like that, with like getting into like writing and like that shit, it's like, not only do you have to like learn how to be good, but you have to learn how to do something new and something different, because so much shit has been done before.
Yep.
Where it's like with music, you're like, this is my skill set. My blade's been sharpened over a long period of time. You know what I'm saying? You at least know the outline of what you have to do.
Yep.
But it's got to be really challenging to be innovative in that field because of just how much stuff has been done before.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Like,
yeah, I'm not like. I think some of it is like. I'm also, I have, we all have egos to certain extents and stuff, but I'm also not blindly confident enough to just hop into a new thing and be like, I'm just going to do it. Like, if anything, it's the opposite, where I'm like, man, people have been doing this for so long, and who am I to like, the inner saboteur comes out, and I'm like, who am I just to get into writing? Like, I don't have a degree and haven't been trying to do this. And there's lots of people who've been trying to do this and still suck and haven't got, you know what I mean? But ultimately, what grounds me is knowing like going from what got me into hip hop was wanting to be an author, going into writing in hip hop, and then also doing the cartoons. I had to learn that, so there is like a little bit of bridging of skill sets already. That's, I feel like, a natural transition to a certain extent. So
yeah,
Rap Off comic coming soon, in the realm of actually entertainment, I wanted to bring this up because we had talked about Everything Everywhere All at Once, and the Oscars just happened, and I didn't know, like, you went at the crib, you're like, oh shit, it was like, won like what, 7 Oscars.
Yeah.
So Best Picture,
Screenplay. Director
too. Fire.
Actress, supporting actress, and supporting actor.
Michelle Yeoh got Best Actress.
Mm-hmm.
And then supporting with Jamie Lee.
And with I forget his name.
Yeah, I forget
Data,
too. Yeah,
Data.
Yeah. Short Round.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, that shit was and I think there's a couple other ones, maybe like editing or maybe sound design, something. There's other categories.
I'm always interested in stuff like, best movie and best screenplay, because it's like, so what if it wins best screenplay but not movie? It's like, oh yeah, the director can't feel good about that. Like, you know what I mean? Like, oh, we had the best thing, the best starting point, but didn't get it there. You know what I'm saying? Like,
that's funny.
The one thing I will say, because I might have said this when we brought it up. I was like, give it all the awards. It's like the best shit. You know?
You did say that.
I did say that, but I also have to say, I didn't mean all the things. Like, I think it deserves 7, 8, 10 Oscars, but I'm like, Jamie Lee Curtis?
Yeah.
I mean,
she's good in the movie.
Good. It was, but is it a
Oscar-winning performance?
Over Angela Bassett? I mean, nah.
And honestly, there's probably a couple. I hadn't seen all the movies, but I'm sure there's probably a couple other performances that are probably better than hers in that category that maybe were more deserving. But I think it's one of those things where, like, all right, this movie's already finna sweep. She's an OG. Let's just give her, you know what I'm saying? Like, because you got to think there's.
Has she won one before?
I don't think. I think that's.
So maybe they're like, all right.
Yeah.
Who?
Finally, here.
Jamie Lee Curtis. I'm saying Angela Bassett hasn't either.
But she's younger,
absurd.
right?
Yeah, she's younger than.
So she has like more of a chance to do it in the future. Where I feel like they're like, this is Jamie Lee Curtis's chance to like get an award.
I don't know, man.
Who's
like, hot dog?
Wasn't it like DiCaprio that didn't win one forever?
Yeah, The Revenant is what he wanted.
Yeah,
for,
and The
which
Revenant.
That's a crazy movie.
The Revenant's
but
insane.
It's
his
insane.
performance is insane.
Yes, but he's for sure had other movies where he absolutely an Oscar-worthy performance, but ones where he should have.
Like what's Eating Gilbert Grape?
I mean,
what? That's a crazy role.
That's like one of his first movies.
What? I'm not like trolling. That was his like breakout, and it was an insane role to start with.
I think The Aviator probably is up there.
Yeah. But I don't remember what won that year or anything. But I will say though, his performance in The Revenant is insane. Like when he can't move after the bear attack, and what's his name?
Tom Hardy.
I almost said Tom Brady. Tom Hardy's character is like trying to kill his kid, or he does kill whatever.
Yeah.
If you haven't seen it by now, that's
insane.
on you. But
I only saw it
when
once.
he's like can't move and like that, bro, that performance is insane, and it's like almost exclusively on him the whole like 2.5, 3 hours or whatever. You know?
I mean, Leo is a phenomenal actor, dude. He's
a man.
He's pretty much kills every role, low key. Like
The Departed for sure.
Oh God, I love.
Chop me up and feed me to the poor. You waited for.
Yeah, he's great in The Departed. I just rewatched Wolf of Wall Street too. He's really good.
I've been wanting to rewatch that.
Yeah, I've been on a like rewatching Scorsese.
Me too. Me and
movies.
Illmac just talked about this. I rewatched American Gangster the other day.
Yeah,
and I was just like, oh my god, this movie's so
I
good.
need to run that back. I was looking for it, but that's on my list though. I haven't watched it in a long time.
Wolf of Wall Street though, right?
Yeah, I rewatched Wolf of Wall Street. I rewatched even Goodfellas, bro. I was like, I've seen this movie at least 20 times. I'm like, I haven't watched it in hella long though. And Goodfellas that's like almost a perfect movie, bro. Like Goodfellas is crazy. I've just been rewatching, like, I know it's standard, but just like Tarantino and Scorsese movies. I've just been running them back. Just like they're so good. They hold up so well.
Dude, I was playing. What was I doing? I was playing like Caldera Warzone the other night. But in between games, I was watching this like YouTube like mini documentary about, because we talked about American Gangster, And I brought it up to him because of our conversation when you're like, what should I watch? Like, you know what I mean?
Watching hella gangster movies.
And I was like, American Gangster. So we talked about it or whatever. But so I went and watched like the scene where he claps Idris or whatever and like leaves the tip and shit. And one of the suggested videos was kind of like the breakdown of like the real story and inconsistencies with the movie, but also things that were the same. And I can't remember all of it, but because I was also watching it in like 5 to 6 minute intervals in between games or whatever. But there was some interesting shit, like, of course, lots of like people coming out the woodwork, like talking about some of the inconsistencies of the story. But the one that I thought was most interesting was like the feds, I don't know, FBI, whatever agency, coming out and being like, this is inaccurate, like, and threatening to like file a lawsuit, and then it just going away. Like they just shut up. And the dude who's like narrating the doc or whatever is basically like, at first there was this outcry where they almost tried to like sue the whatever movie studio it is, Universal, whatever, and then basically like it went away super quick and they retracted that. And he's like, it's probably because there's a lot of things that didn't come out via the movie that if they went down that road of going to court, that a lot more people would probably, there'd be more scrutiny involved with, you know what I'm saying, exposing dirty feds and cops who were involved in.
I mean, it's a movie. You gotta dress it up, like, it doesn't just because it's based on a true story.
Yeah, imagine a true story movie. It'd be so fucking lame. Oh my god, there'd be like a moment that's cool and then just suck.
A lot of the thing is a lot of. Most of the big story points are real.
Or it's like too ridiculous.
Yeah, most of the big story points are it's just mostly little things. It's like
to make it work.
The timeline actually when he clapped, Bumpy wasn't dead yet, and but he did that public thing when he clapped Idris's character or whatever, because the tax, that was real.
Damn.
And it was like in front of his brothers and his family when he brought him out and all that.
Like, when was that? What year?
Probably the 70s, right?
I think it was like the 70s.
Damn, the good old days. Just kill people in broad daylight and get away with it.
Yeah. But the chinchilla thing was real. I seen pictures, like it's like the exact chinchilla code.
Yeah.
The mob was hella mad and feds were hella mad about it. He was in the movie, that was something that was dramatized where it was like, that's when he got on the radar, but he was probably already on the radar a little bit already. But that shit was real. Like he wore that.
Damn.
Oh, but they also downplayed it in the movie. They're like, in the movie they said it was like a $50,000 chinchilla or 30 or whatever, but in reality it was like a $225,000 chinchilla. Like it was actually more worth more. they like under dramatized that part.
Yo, salute to Pixie, $10 super chat.
Hey
guys, loving the show.
Thank you.
Appreciate you, Pix.
Yeah, if you guys have anything to talk to Chase or Illmac about, post it in the chat. I'm kind of monitoring it.
Yeah. Or sometimes what they'll do is combine characters. Yeah. Like Boardwalk, like Nucky isn't a real person. Nucky's two people. But it's like everyone else is real people. Capone, Arnold Rothstein, fucking all that shit.
They did that in American Gangster too, but I can't remember
but Nucky is like
what
two characters combined into one. And I'm not mad at that.
Yeah, there's certain things just to like make it simpler or
it's based on a true story. It's not saying it is.
It's not a documentary.
Yeah, it's not a documentary.
You know what I mean? It's not Star Wars. You know what I'm saying? But yeah, that movie's great. That scene where bruh's like 20%, he's like 20%, and that's my profit. Like there's ways to do business, and this ain't it, blah blah blah. And then the circle back. I'm like, damn, that actually happened. He did leave, if I remember correctly, he did leave a tip jar thing too when he clapped bruh in public. Like insane.
He just with the American accent. I didn't. He's one of those ones I didn't know was English.
Oh, me neither.
Like when I was watching The Wire back in the day, that's the first thing I seen him in. And then you find out he's English. You're like, what the fuck?
Yeah.
I love that, bro.
When you watch it back though, because I got to like season 2 or 3 on a watch back. I don't know, probably 2 years ago, but he plays it off because his character seems to have a little bit of a, not a lisp, but almost a little bit. Like it's not super.
His accent cuts through sometimes.
There's sometimes, but it almost comes off like he has a bit of a speech impediment. It's like certain letters and things.
Yeah,
you know what I mean?
it's like that on The Wire too, though. I noticed.
That's what I was talking about. The Wire.
Oh yeah, okay,
When he's as Stringer Bell.
Yeah. I thought you were saying is whoever he is in American Gangster.
Oh yeah,
but,
no.
Yeah. When I rewatched The Wire, you could tell now. But back then, when I didn't know, it was. You know what I'm saying?
I think it's for sure one of those things. When you know, then you can go peep shit. You know what I mean? Like you kind of look for it in a different way.
Speaking of GOAT series, Desi asks, "What does it say in your knuckles?"
This says GOAT. Shout out to my boy Baby Franco. He did it. Most painful tat I got too, by far. And I got like a lot bigger ones and stuff, but the knuckles is just As a matter of fact, like I need touch-ups, but I've just been because also with your hands in any place where you're using that, you know, whether it's friction on your hand or on whatever body part, like hands, I don't know, probably like feet and other places like that, like it'll, you know, drop ink more often or whatever. Like you'd have to get like touch-ups or it's just you got to do a harder cover on it.
Yeah.
But there's certain parts where I'm like, oh, I could. Bobby's been like, yo, we could fill that in again or whatever, and I'm like, I like when I've gotten most of my tats, I've been drinking. Even if it's just a little bit, like when I was getting the Bender one, for the first like half of it, I wasn't drinking. I might have even said this on one of them, but like it was, when I got it was like doing color around my elbow, like on these parts, and it was like just vibrating the bone and hurt so bad. I was like, yo, I stopped him. Like, isn't that a bar right like next door? Because we're at this like studio. He's like, yeah. I'm like, bro, let's go get a shot and let me down a beer. I'm like, because this is like painful, and just getting that, it was like I could just zone out and chill a little bit more. And most of my tats I've just been drinking, even though it's not recommended because, you know, bleeding or whatever the pussies say, you know what I mean? But with the knuckles, dude, I was trying to drink the pain away. I was just like sipping out of the bottle, like getting faded, and it was just like, like it was like so painful,
dude. The shit that hurt the most for me was my wrist. Like, bro, I have like all of this, and like the elbow hurts, but for some reason the fucking wrist, like just this bottom part here, was like so fucking painful.
Whenever
bro,
it gets
like,
close to the sides, I bet too.
Like the
when
wrist
you're getting
hurt the
tatted too, like it's this weird thing that's a trick your nerves play on you, where it's like I was getting some feeling that was like maybe down here or here, and I literally felt like the needle was on the tip of my elbow, and I was like, look, and I'm like, yo, the pain I'm feeling is like 2 inches away from, I thought you were over here, and it's the same thing, like this, you know, this little wrist bone, like all this area, but even a little bit higher, it just felt like the needle just vibrating on the pointy part of my wrist bone.
Dude, like because I'm gonna go soon and finish my sleeve, but I have to get a couple touch-ups, and like I have to get a touch-up in the elbow, and then I have to get a touch-up on the wrist on this one, and I'm like, that's the two most painful parts to me. Like everything else, like low-key didn't really hurt like that.
Dude, I got the shit behind my ear on my neck. I was fine.
Because it's not, I mean, it's painful, but it's like,
it was on my birthday.
It's manageable though. It just hurts, but it's more so like annoying than like hella like oh my god, I'm in so much pain. It's more just like you just constantly
the knuckles were pain.
Yeah.
But the other one that was like the most bothersome was that I have a tiny tat on my like the side of my leg, and it's just like this, like it's literally a handgun, like it's hands like this. You know what I'm saying? But it's no detail. It's like a one line sort of outline, like this big of it, and it bothered me the most. And it wasn't pain, but it just felt like someone just scraping, and it was just annoying enough where I'm like, all the pain I felt filling in this detailed full arm tat it was like that was more bothersome, and it was just the leg because it was way more annoying.
Yeah.
Like I'm like, I'll never get another leg tattooed.
Well, that could be a form of torture. Remember we were talking about Chinese water torture?
Oh,
and how it's
yeah.
literally just a drop of water over and over again.
Yeah,
I like that concept of like you don't need the biggest weapon to like do the most damage. You can do something small, just like you're saying. It's like super.
it's not the size of the
Yeah.
boat in the ocean, man.
That's my mantra right there.
You're like, yeah.
Oh my God.
You're like, I love the idea.
love that motto.
Size doesn't matter. Yeah, I think the thing with like Chinese water torture too is, and this could be just some childhood thing that someone told me that I don't remember, that I'm misremembering or whatever, but is that they'll like, you know, they at some of them, or I don't know if this was just standard, would like fix so you couldn't move, and so there's just a dot, and like eventually it could like cave in your skull
Yeah.
from just a drop at a time.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, makes sense.
Yeah,
It does
That's
make
crazy.
sense.
erosion type beat.
Yeah.
Grand Canyon.
Yeah, exactly. It's just the Earth's Chinese water torture.
Oh my God.
Speaking of cataclysmic events, you want to get into the Adam and Eve theory? Well, we can sidestep that if you don't want to.
No. I think it's interesting. I'm like always cross blend like all these different theories, like from, you know, Graham Hancock and, you know, his Netflix series Ancient Apocalypse, to like Adam and Eve theory, to you know, the mudslide of Tartaria or whatever. Like there's a lot of common ground with a lot of theories, and I always just kind of like cross pollinate and misremember. But yeah, if I'm remembering right, you could look this up or whatever, confirm, like
we can look
the
it up
gist with Adam and Eve theory is that there's been advanced civilizations before that essentially, you know, and I think this is where the overlay with, again, I might be just blending them, but the overlay with Graham Hancock and the whole Ancient Apocalypse show and what he kind of puts forth is like this idea that, you know, every 12 to 15,000 years or whatever, on average throughout history, there's like a reset button.
Yeah.
So there's been ancient civilizations that have been as advanced or more advanced in different ways, and we've only like scratched the surface on uncovering them, because essentially, now I don't remember if this is if this goes with the Adam and Eve theory, but essentially like the poles shift and reverse on this kind of timeline that matches up with these apocalyptic events. And what, you know, some people that are way smarter than me, like scientists or whatever, archaeologists, put out there is that if that were to happen in one foul swoop rather than very gradually, it would create like an insane apocalyptic event where tidal waves, you know, 500 plus feet, you know, sweep across entire continents, bury everything. You know, it ties in with the flood theory, and also just buries any trace of civilization underneath a new ocean floor, essentially. And we're talking 500 feet of soil that just covers everything. And it might be more than that too, you know what I mean? But they're saying like, can't remember which is which as far as how closely integrated it, like the Ancient Apocalypse Graham Hancock memories are coming with the Adam and Eve theory. But I know that there was like a general common ground of like the reset button on this general timeline.
Yeah.
That's pretty insane.
Yeah, I've gone down some rabbit holes relative to that. Because it's also the fools will be talking about a lot of the evidence of cataclysmic events within the earth, just analyzing like whether it be craters or like just how like, you know, with there being fucking like nuclear glass deep enough, and just like this part of the earth or the soil looks like it was burned, this part looks like it was washed, this part looks like it was frozen. Like there's a lot of like, and like I don't know enough on it to specifically reference it, but that you can see geographical evidence of that, which supports that theory, which is crazy.
Yeah,
I mean, I definitely think modern civilization isn't 12,000 years old, or however it's got for how long the planet's been around.
Yeah,
it's like,
I mean, Göbekli Tepe like kind of flies in the face of like the traditional story of archaeology, and in that area in Turkey, and this is like me kind of referencing the Ancient Apocalypse show and Graham Hancock, and it's really dope. It's really interesting to say the least. Of a watch, and you know, there's a lot of experts on there, but there's areas in around Göbekli Tepe that are even older that share a lot of similarities. And one of the theories is that there was these advanced sort of cities, to say, and these structures that don't fit into the box that we say this is where humanity was at and had the capability to do at this point. Göbekli Tepe being one, but there's like multiple in that area throughout. I think it's Turkey or
and
somewhere.
even Göbekli Tepe is there. It's only a portion of it that they uncovered.
That shit goes
from Sonic Mapping. You can see it goes way
in that show, man. There's like hella like mountains that they're discovering, like, oh, this might not be a mountain.
Yeah.
This is like a city structure.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? They're like, and if you could imagine, just hypothetically, a 1,000-foot wave sweeping across the valley, say, what all the debris and the power of that water would do is bury everything.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And in certain places could create hills, mountains, and things that are really were once structures. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But that show, it's super interesting, and it's just weird because, through the sort of, I think, algorithm, even on watching it on different devices or whatever, it's like things have shown up on my timeline that like have common ground with that, like that theory of the Adam and Eve theory, which, if I'm not mistaken, there's like documents about it, like CIA documents that like where they were theorizing or trying to test or have some declassified things around that. I'm pretty sure there is like documents around that. That's where the name comes from. I'm pretty sure the Adam and Eve there's like some series of documents about it or whatever. What's funny to me, and it reminded me of a comedy bit, is the notion that like, everyone before our present time in those civilizations, like they were less evolved, like they were just not, like we're the smartest, like we're the apex of humanity and the cumulative, output of evolution and where the human mind can go. We're the apex. It reminded me of I seen that, the comedian Nate Bargatze. Mm-hmm. You know that fool? He's hella funny. But he had this bit about like time travel, and he's like, he basically talks about like, if I were to, I'm gonna butcher it, it won't be as funny, but the idea is funny. He's talking about like if he went back in time, he's like, I couldn't prove I'm from the future. Like he's like, they'd want to know specific things. Like I'd be like, he's like, if I went back like 100 years and someone's like on an old rotary phone, the most I could do is be like, they got smaller versions of that now where it fits in your pocket and there's like a screen, and like, oh, like how does that work? I don't know, some satellite. He's all satellites. Like satellites. He's like, I shouldn't have said that. He's like, pieces of metal in the sky. He's like, that's like all I would have. He's like, they wouldn't believe me. They'd throw me. He's like, I wouldn't have and so they'd want some kind of proof, and they'd be like, okay, well, prove you're from the future. Like, who's the next president? He's like, Yeah. He's like going, he's like, dude, I'd go back in the future and be worse off than I am now. I would have no way of proving, you know?
For real.
And I feel like that's the majority of, you know? Like,
Hell no. I don't know any of the presidents, really.
oh.
I think in like school we had to like memorize them, kind of, and now I don't know shit.
Yeah.
Dude, even think like how bad my memory is and specifics and stuff too. Like trying to prove anything. Like, okay, what year are we in? Like, let me think of a historical event that I can predict or nothing. I wouldn't have anything. I'd be like, you know, were 23 syllable rhymes invented yet? I can show you one of those. Like, that's all I got.
Scribble jam.
Yeah. That would be like my contribution is like scribble
The year
jam would
2004. I can tell you.
Yeah. So most
Cincinnati, Ohio.
Yeah. That's
A warrior will rise through in triumph.
Exactly.
Verbal warfare.
That's all I'd have. You know.
Yeah.
It's I don't know. I love those topics though, and like it's so weird because everything like in my mind I just take pieces of everything and I'm constantly sort of like throw that in the like stew that is my you know loose theory about the world. You know, and but I'm always like open to something new and crazy. Like toss that in. You know, aliens were involved somehow, but aliens are us. Time traveling, but time travel. You know, it's just like, just keep adding to it. Like, why not? You know, I don't have some concrete idea of what any of this is.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah. Well, you shouldn't be married to anything like that because it's constantly being disproven. You know.
Yeah.
Or just like, not disproven. Maybe that's a harsh word, but like, you know. Worked on, I guess I should say. Like all knowledge is, you know. It's like there was a time that we thought all objects had a force within them, and that was what gravity was. You know, and certain things fell faster because their force in them was stronger. So it's like, and everybody was just like, "Oh, that's a fact," you know.
Right.
Gravity, that's ridiculous, you know. So you know, you can't take anything.
Yeah.
Being
Dude, there
married
was
to
a time where people thought the Earth was round.
I know, dumbass.
Like what?
The ice edge? They didn't even know.
You don't know about the Arctic ice wall, dude?
Like fools.
Yeah.
Silly.
Yeah. Oh, you think the Earth is how big that they've been telling you is? That there's only 7 continents?
They've been inside. They don't even know.
Yeah.
Secret jungle gym down there.
You definitely haven't studied the same Instagram reels I have.
Those TikToks.
Yeah. At question antiquity. You have a degree? But do you even follow question antiquity? Or like Anunnaki history? 431?
A degree from the system.
That's a funny point because it makes me think like something that in the Graham Hancock series, Ancient Apocalypse, is, you know, throughout each episode, he's talking about these things that kind of conflict with, you know, like mainstream archaeology. You know, he's like, this is underground. This is underground hip hop version. Like, this is the real shit, you know. But he's talking about, and he obviously has other like archaeologists and scientists and other experts come in and they, you know, delve into a bunch of these ideas. But all that to say, one thing he kind of reiterates throughout the whole thing is like these ideas don't fit into like the mainstream consensus of the story, and it's not consistent with our current picture of history, and there's not really explanations that can make this, you know, square piece of history fit into the round understanding that we have now, essentially, or that is the, you know, scientific consensus or whatever, you know. And he touches on like, you know, how the field can be stubborn in wanting to accept new ideas and all these things. And it made me think, and and I think me and NoCam touched on this went outside of the gym a couple weeks ago when we talked for like an hour outside of the gym. It reminded me of this old this article I read a long time ago. So I'm gonna butcher it, but just heads up. But the idea was that the study was on like psychology and like, you know, I don't know, I don't remember the term, if it's psychoanalysts or you know, psychologists, whoever, but the doctors they bring in essentially who like can determine in criminal cases or in general if someone is like, you know, clinically insane or if they where their mental state is. Anyways, this article was basically proposing and giving some evidence of the idea that, you know, the amount of like schooling and how you go through the school system to get this degree that, you know, essentially says you're an expert in this given field, essentially is training you, and the majority rewiring your brain, but in this real way that the majority of people in this given field, and again, there was like studies back in this, are like authoritarians, essentially saying, you know, on a generalizing level, certain fields are more dominated by people who, you know, don't question authority as much. And so the point of this article is they're saying going through this system for 20 years, whatever, has these mental effects. Then when you put that people like that in that position of power, what happens is when someone comes in that doesn't have those parameters of, you know, right and wrong as much, like say where they might question authority, have conspiracies or distrust for authority in general, it lends itself to a landscape where people get written off, discarded, or even like jailed or put in to mental hospital or, you know, asylums because they don't have authoritarian principles and view things like that, because the person in that position of power is like, oh, this is crazy talk. You know what I mean? Reason I bring that up is it makes me think about even things like, you know, the archaeology thing that Graham Hancock's talking about, where when you spend the majority of your life learning this story, everything we know is a story. When something doesn't fit in that, you know, we want to find anything to dismiss it a lot of times. You know what I'm saying? But I thought specifically when it comes to like those sort of like, he talks about gatekeeping within the scientific community, and specifically he talks a lot about archaeology because that's what kind of the premise of the whole show is in the study, the field behind it. But
Egyptian archaeology, I know he had a lot of run-in. I've heard him talk about that shit at length.
Yeah. But there's a lot of that he touches on where I'm like, this reminds me of this conversation or this article that I seen where it's like, it's hard to, you know, when you've been sort of, again, just adopt this story to go against it, or to say, to step back objectively and think maybe there are some pieces we don't have, you know?
Yeah, word.
I mean, while we're on the crazy subject, aliens.
Let's go.
Dude, I haven't really dove into all these news articles, but bro, I've just seen random things of all the shit being shot down.
Is there new? Oh, is that from like a couple weeks ago?
I mean, I started around February, beginning of February, I think.
Are they saying it's like all weather balloons? They're like, oh, it's an object. It's a balloon.
Know that's some of it.
Dude, it's like a lot of it is just kind of, you know, that was a weather balloon. This was, you know, all these things, but it's like, you heard of Project Bluebeam, right? You know, broad strokes. What was his name? Sergey. menaced, and I only know that because I looked it up the other day or seen it like yesterday in a video, I think from the Y-Files. But basically, this journalist, Canadian investigative journalist, Sergei, I'm pretty sure it's Menast. I even forget the year, don't know. Look it up. But essentially put forth the idea that UFOs and the idea of an invasion happening would be like a false flag event put on by like our government, the governments of the world, to bring about a one world government, like essentially kind of unite humanity,
like the Watchmen, essentially,
or what Arrival was kind of like that. Now that I think about it, a little bit like it brings everyone together. Yeah. So that was kind of his, and you know there was things he was exposing. I can't remember, but Sergei Manas, his story's crazy. He's written off as a conspiracy theorist, and there were some things that maybe have been disproven. But what's actually really crazy about him is that he was, after all this, him putting out all this, he got like arrested. You know, something like he's a witness, kind of on some whistleblower shit. Like, so he got arrested for like, you know, being involved with leaking secret documents or like, you know, being on, I don't know, websites or papers that were restricted access and whatever else. But he was arrested and let go the next day. Mm-hmm. Like he was just held overnight and died the day after they let him out of a heart attack.
That's crazy.
After spending a night in jail. And all this shit, which is pretty...
It's super sus.
You know, pretty sus. Yeah. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But it's an interesting theory, you know what I mean? On some parallel thought shit, I remember like, you know, I don't know, 15 years ago, whatever. And maybe it's like I had seen something but didn't remember. But I remember like one of my things is like, dude, I bet you it's not going to be aliens and it's going to be the fucking government. And, you know, it's a way they'll control us is by faking some invasion with technology that we don't know about. You know what I mean? It's interesting.
That is interesting.
Really, it's really crazy that this fool got murked off. Like,
yeah,
the day after, insane. Like, come on, man.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, totally, man. There's so much stuff like that where it's like, whether you want to believe his theories or not, he still died after being in prison for a night. That's like a fact. That's weird, right?
Yeah.
That's very strange, you know? Same with like fucking, what's his name? Getting fucking like the cameras turned off and he like died, he like committed suicide.
Oh, yeah.
Like same thing where it's just like everyone's like, yeah, that happened anyway, so over here, you know?
Yeah, the flight records not coming out. You know what I'm saying?
Totally.
Like, come on, man.
Yeah.
There's been a lot of like crazy sightings recently. I've seen this video of like these fools at like a Vegas club, and there's like these fucking crazy. It looks like the bottom lights of like a ship, but it's like there's hella video footage you could pull up of it, but it's basically like a nightclub in Vegas outside, and this thing is essentially hidden by clouds, but it's like, bro, it's something that's fucking huge in the air, and the lights are moving, and it's like stagnant. It's just chilling there for like an hour. But I've seen so much footage of shit like that recently, where it's like either weird lights or weird objects, and it's like no one knows like really what it is, but it's certainly weird as fuck though, and strange. Like, what could that possibly be? You know what I'm saying? Like,
yeah,
fucking holograms, dude. They started with Tupac, and now it's fucking UFOs in the sky.
Alfie David's just going crazy.
Yeah, there was that hologram city above China.
Yeah. I mean, I have no idea what the truth of it is, but if it ever did get revealed that it was aliens, I wouldn't be surprised. Well, you know what I'm saying? Like, it would be obviously a shocking and one of the most groundbreaking things to ever happen. Probably the biggest event to ever happen to humans if it was, you know. But I wouldn't be surprised, though. I'd be like, yeah, it makes sense. You know what I'm saying? Like,
well, during the pandemic, wasn't there like the Pentagon essentially confirmed
Yeah.
the existence of
they're not called
UFO?
Yeah, they changed
They're
the name
called
of
like
them. It's
aerial something.
Yeah.
It's not
It's
UFO
like
anymore.
AFPs or some
Yeah,
shit like
yeah,
this, something like that. Something like that.
Yeah, but there's like legit.
Because then the search results, people aren't going to remember
Yeah.
that.
Yeah,
and
yeah,
so
yeah.
any confirming new document, that won't be in the collective
Dude,
consciousness.
The fucking footage of the pilots at the military bases outside of San Diego, like that,
Yeah.
like that's crazy, bro. You can literally just look at the dry footage from the plane.
Yeah.
That shit is insane, bro. Like,
Yeah.
not only like what are these things, but like the physics and speed defying things that they were doing, where they're like dropping fucking 10,000 feet in a matter of seconds,
Yeah.
or they're blocking out their radar.
Yeah.
And like how fast they are and shit, and the maneuvers where it's like the way that they're turning, like that, and that's just like that. There's not an explanation for it, but the footage itself is real. It's I mean, you know, as far as we know, but it's like that's like. That shit is really trippy, bro. I went down a rabbit hole and watched a lot of that, just raw footage from just whatever the surveillance or the plane cameras are, like the radar footage of it.
There's a couple
and, like,
famous ones.
Yeah,
there's a lot.
That shit's like, what the fuck?
There's that physicist Eric Weinstein. And
Yes.
I seen like it's like a clip of him talking like on Rogan, and I like watched some other clips. I think he had his own podcast as well, and he was like discussing
you
it.
just said about like this is a distraction for something else.
Yeah, well, his whole thing too is this physicist, and essentially he's like, he kind of gives these options. He's like, look, what we have is like all these, you know, sightings and, you know, people who come out and talk about this defies the laws of physics and this and that. He goes, but in all these, like even on the side of the government and all these studies, like you don't have any of the top physicists involved.
Yeah.
He goes, and there's only really like a couple explanations for that. And he's like, basically one, well, that there is a, you know, Project Manhattan type project going on, but that is focused on this, you know, UFO or, you know, AFV or whatever.
Yeah, it's some acronym. They just changed the acronym.
That is like focused on figuring it out, reverse engineering, whatever. But if that were the case, like he's talking about how you can pretty much track all the people that, you know, graduate highly in any given field, like for physics specifically, and see what they do, like, you know, where they went, their story. He's like, it's all public. Like you look at school records and then you can figure out where people land afterwards. Yeah. He's like, the thing is none of these people are involved. None of these top physicists are involved in these stories. Like, but if there was this secret project, he's like, what it would be. And he talks about this, like, I don't know, like mid-ass college, right? He's like, this college, it's like on something on Long Island. You know what I mean? He's like, this is not a well-known Ivy League. It's not top in anything, but there's this low-key, super, like prestigious math and physics program. He's like, if I were to place money on, if I were going down the road of saying there's a secret, you know, Manhattan Project, but involving reverse engineering, you know, UFO technology or whatever you want to call it, I would put money on this place. And he mentioned somewhere else, but he's like, because it's just under the radar on everything, but there happens to be like genius level people that attend it. And then another part of that specific college, it's like top 5, like, you know, financial sector, like has some crazy funding program, meaning it has like not a hedge fund, but something in that sector that's just like, there's like Madoff and there's all, he's like, I wrote this paper that's talking about all the most suspicious money, like how this just is disproportionate wealth for what should be. He's like, and one of them was Madoff, one of them was this, and one of them was this college. It's like top 5 in like raking in money, which is what you would need to fund a program like this. Yeah. He's like, or the other option, and he like gives more details and things based on that theory. Yeah. Again, memory of a goldfish. But he's like, the other thing though is if you were to be faking it, the last people you'd want involved are physicists and credible people who understand the realm of what is physically possible, what it takes, because, you know, they could essentially call bullshit or say this is possible actually, you know, with this, given these resources and this time to create. So his whole stance is like, either way, it's you know, those are like the main options that he was proposing. He's like, I'm like one of two physicists that's close to this, and I am not close to it. He's like, I know one other name involved in any study that's government funded and whatever, and they don't know what's going on. So you either are choosing not to involve these people, and it's the nature of the government, it's so compartmentalized that no one's communicating, or you purposely don't want the experts involved in that, you know?
Yeah, it's wild.
Yeah.
It's super crazy. Yeah, all that shit is super interesting to me. I find it super fascinating. Do you guys think that we're going to touch down on Mars in our lifetime?
Probably. I mean, it might be like when we're older, but I think in our lifetime, yeah, I think so.
Like humans?
Yeah, I think so. I mean, it's really just a guess and a speculation. I don't know how far along it is, but I think so. I think that's something that we'll see.
It's fucking crazy.
Yeah.
So you believe in outer space?
Yes, I do.
Do you guys ever get existential dread?
No, because once you start thinking about that type of shit, you realize how out of control any of it is to you. You know what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. So it's like sometimes I'll go down the rabbit hole and start tripping out about shit, but at the end of the day, it's like I don't have any control over this. So why? I'm not gonna.
Why be scared?
Yeah, you know what I'm saying? Like, cause what could you do about any of it? Nothing. You know what I'm saying? So
strap up.
Yeah, I try to not go down those rabbit holes, bro. Of like, and like, all right, let me just worry about things that are right in front of me that I can actually control and that I know is a fact. Like that's my mentality about it. At least, like sometimes I'll get a little high and start going down a documentary rabbit hole and then start thinking all this crazy shit. But for the most part, if it's out of my control, just fucking roll with the punches, baby. You know what I'm saying?
I almost, there's been times like when I was super in my bag of like reading every news story and then making sure to go to sources like, you know, democracynow.org and see what their take is on these things.
Democracynow.org.
Yeah, like, hey, shout out.
What's the other one? The Instagram reel account?
Oh, yeah, Question Antiquity and like Anunnaki history. Yeah. Those definitely pop up on my shit. But that when I was like more like stressing on that was weird. Like obviously in the face of some, you know, cataclysmic or crazy thing, it'd be terrifying.
Yeah.
But when I think about it in the abstract sense, when I go down these, you know, thought experiments or wormholes, like it's weird, but I almost get like inspired because I kind of take everything with a grain of salt from, you know, the stories that we've all come to know, that is just the general narrative of humanity, to conspiracies, to all these things. Like, I take it all with a grain of salt and kind of add it all in again to this sort of like garbage version of a snowball rolling downhill that is materializing into my worldview. You know what I mean? It's like shit just sticks onto it and I'm like, yeah, throw it on there. And so it kind of is inspiring, and I'm never like closed off and a little open to things, you know, like crazy things. Cause I'm like, ultimately though, like there's no way for us to just know some absolute truth, at least maybe at the moment of like death. You know what I mean? We realize that, oh, the way we perceive reality is actually just, you know, this, like we were in the stream of time, where now that my body, that vessel I was in, is gone, can see everything objectively, and everything that's ever happened or was gonna happen happened in an instant. And the way we perceive time is our brains, our, wave to MP3 compressors version of making a large, unfathomable piece of information smaller and small enough to digest and perceive on a linear timeline. You know what I mean? And anything and everything can fit into that, from like aliens being like, sort of the pop culture version of aliens, that there's some other beings from other planets, to them being us in the future, kind of interacting with each other, with ourselves, coming back for something. Maybe it's nostalgia. We love nostalgia. Maybe we're just coming back.
It's a reboot. It's a franchise reboot.
She used to be great. You know what I'm saying?
Oh man, Big Macs.
To us just doing it and really kind of just being these small beings on this planet that hasn't experienced otherworldly things, and it's all a conspiracy, but there maybe is, but too far out to know. Like, all of it I'm open to, you know what I mean? And like shit that, and I have no definite shape of what it is, but I love thinking about it and trying to almost think of, new versions of it that could be true. You know what I'm saying? Like, there was something I seen that was like, it's like a thought experiment or I think it was a paradox, but it was like of a lady who, I don't remember if it's a true story or just a thought experiment paradox situation. I can't remember. It was like some Instagram reel. But the idea was that this old lady was sitting in a room, and then behind her seeing like two shadowy figures, and like freaked out about it. I don't remember if she died, whatever, not important. Then either this is a story, or I can't remember if it's real or not, but like on the other side of it, there was like these two people who stepped in to like their house and seen an old lady and like freaked out and ran out, and it was like an apparition. I'm really butchering it, but the idea of it is that neither of them are ghosts, and it's essentially this same space and being occupied by people in different times, but they're being cross-chatter. So them perceiving this paranormal activity because of time glitching in a sense, and being in this same space at different points of time, crossing over and having an experience with themselves or each other. Yeah. You know what I mean? Yeah. And I think the part I forget about that story is like they were like the grandsons of that old lady who talked about having this. That's what it was. Yeah. It was either sons or grandsons or whatever, having this story passed down of seeing two individuals, and then 40 years later walking into the house and having an experience with an old lady screaming and that scaring them. Yeah, Jesus. So it's like they knew the story, and they were the things from the story that they heard about 40 years later or whatever. So I can't remember if that was some real story or if that was like some thought paradox or whatever, but my point is that shit's really interesting to me. Yeah. And there's so much that just says, that we just have no idea what's going on.
Yeah, that's what it really all boils down to.
Even space. It's like, that is the reality, is that we're in this thing that we're like, we don't know anything.
It's all unfathomable,
period.
Bro.
No. We don't know shit about the most like physical part of our world that we stand on. We don't know anything about this.
No.
I mean, even our just soul existence itself is real. A mystery.
Yeah.
Which
how do we start? I don't know.
That's the big, you know what I mean? All right.
Come. Yes.
Yeah. Yes, come. I don't know, man.
I'm open to it though.
I'm
open to it all.
I love it, man. It's cool.
I don't feel like I have like a tinfoil hat, but I'm open to most things. You know what I'm saying? Like,
real.
I'm open to most things.
Yeah, man.
As at least a possibility. You know what I'm saying? Because we don't know the truthfulness of any of it. So
Yeah.
No, it reminded me of the other day I was hiking with my girl, and we're just talking about random shit. We talk about a lot of this type of shit actually on hikes or whatever. And I remember maybe we were talking about like comics, or I was just talking at her about comics or something. But
that's amazing.
but it was like one of those classic questions where it's like, what would be like your superpower, if anything?
Yeah.
And one of the thing that I was like, oh, my superpower would be like knowing the ultimate truths of any given thing, you know, whether it's existence or like what mine started off that I just like changed the more we talked about it. My start off was like being able to tell someone's true intentions in any given scenario. So like if someone's communicating this to me and I like focus, it's like, oh, they really mean this between the lines. And then I said, and in doing that, I want to be able to my superpower to be able to communicate the best way possible to anyone at the time. Meaning to somehow know exactly how to communicate my idea in your terms that you would need to hear it. Because we always think, oh, this is what makes it most simple for me.
Totally.
Not knowing anything about the way the person's perceiving it.
Yeah.
So in any given scenario, being able to just communicate perfectly in someone's language that makes them know exactly what you're trying to say, how you're trying to say it, and then in turn also to be able to receive information. Now, even if that information is, you know, dishonest, or, you know, if they're like saying one thing but meaning another, to be able to detect that.
Yeah.
And then I just kept adding to it and was like, and
Yeah,
and
I can
all
fly.
the ultimate truths, you know what I mean? Like of existence and just everything.
Man.
That would be mine, you know what I mean?
That's crazy.
But it made me think, what would be yours?
Oh. I don't know, Chase.
Yeah, what would be your superpower?
Be able to grow money trees. Give me all the bread, baby.
That seems like such an arduous way to
be able to,
like. Why not just manifest money?
Nah, honestly, what I would do then, what I would do,
Yeah, he's like, in
here's
7
what I would
years.
do. Yeah.
$100.
Here's what I say that to say this. It'd probably be like reality manipulation. Like be able to create and manipulate reality, because reality perception is reality.
Have that, dude.
So
Do you ever lucid dream?
I have before.
It's pretty much that.
But yeah, no, my brother does though. My brother like can control his shit and flies and stuff. But I have before. Like there was a time where I was like looking into it and actually doing the things that they tell you to practice and train.
Yeah.
Like I've gotten there a couple times, but for the most part, no. I have before, but I don't regularly lucid dream. My dreams are usually just like a crazy random combination of things that I wake up confused. Like, what? There was a bear trapped inside my car, like while I was driving. Like, what? Yeah. Oh yeah, I watched a documentary on grizzly bears a week ago. Okay, that's where that came from. It's usually shit like that for me with my dreams. Jesus. But I think it would be reality manipulation, bruh.
Yeah.
Give me that Franklin Richards power, baby.
What is the example of that though?
I need a scenario where you use it.
I mean, it could be very devious, or it could just be for just like entertainment. Like,
give me a scenario.
Like,
so what are you talking about? Like this can would just fall through the table?
Yeah, you know, like I mean, yeah, but then also like, I think it would be able to be like create. Essentially, it would be able to bend the world and reality at will. So it's like
Dr. Manhattan.
Like you can create anything, and whether it's real or not, it seems that way. You know what I'm saying? Like, I don't know how specific I could get.
You think that'd
like,
get depressing?
Probably. I'm sure any superpower would at some point. You know what I'm saying? But
Not the antidepressant superpower that I'm adding on.
Happy all the time.
Yeah, but
bro.
I feel like I'd be lonely.
I'm
almost.
like, let me get up, and I want to be able to do it down to
Poke holes in his.
No,
wouldn't that be
bro, I'd want to be able to
depressing.
do it down to the molecular level too. You know what I'm saying? Create a pocket universe type shit.
Oh,
you know what
shit.
I'm saying? Franklin Richards, baby.
That's fine.
But probably something like that. You know what I'm saying? Because they can make anything possible. Like, oh, I want a house like this. Boom, I got it.
Dude,
that type of shit.
What if? Not just what if. Thought experiment. This is the world you created. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like before birth, you chose that superpower.
I mean, I'm only seeing
in
it.
this world.
I'm only seeing it
is
from my
your-
perspective. So you know what I'm saying? I might already have that.
Yeah.
But I'd do some shit like that. You know what I'm saying? Although, for the record, flying would be an amazing experience.
You could do that then, right?
Yep.
Like I feel like that's kind of built in to a power like that.
Yeah.
I want something like that though. Something that's just OP as fuck, and just overpowered. And I want some shit like that. You know, I don't want to be. Oh, I can go invisible. Like
invisibility.
Like nah.
But I feel like that's the pervert's like
of
chosen
course.
superpower.
So I can steal.
Yeah.
See women naked.
Going to the women's locker room.
Always the fucking locker room.
Yeah.
So whack.
Yeah, invisibility is the incels' fucking dream superpower for sure. Fucking cuck. Nah, you know what? I just remembered what spawned the conversation that when me and my girl were having that. It's because I was talking about seeing Gab, gifted Gab on some podcast, and they asked her that, and it was just thing. I was like, oh, it's because you know she knows her, and I was like, oh, I've seen her on this podcast. This is hella funny. And it was like they asked her, and she's like, just a one hit quit anyone. She's like, just the ability to punch anyone and kill them. I was like, hella weak. And if you like know her, it's even funnier. She's like, oh yeah, just one punch kill somebody. Yeah, that's my superpower.
Holy shit!
Like that's and she when they asked her like before they were done with the question, she was saying like there was no like let me think about it. She's like, oh, I've been waiting for this.
One hitter quitters across the board.
All day.
Yeah.
And that was actually I was like dying, and then I like told my girl about that, and then we went on the topic of like, what would yours be?
What was your girl's?
I think it was something like hella like soft, like healing, like the ability to heal anyone, it was something to do with like some empathetic, like selfless ass thing.
Yeah, not like punch anybody and kill them.
Not no one hitter.
Basically, the human form of a gun. I want to be a gun.
It's fire.
But yeah, it was something just way more selfless and all fucking what we should aspire to want. And I was like, I want to know if UFOs are fucking me in the future.
Dude, we sure are living up to the podcast name.
Meanwhile
of this
on
episode.
Earth.
Let's go.
I mean, you saw the thumbnail created for this, right? It's literally the
the Earth.
Oh,
is that
really?
what that was? I
See
seen
it.
the
That's
Earth
amazing.
and then the
Originally in the thumbnail, because we had this discussion, this is probably a good question for you. What like movie quotes are your favorite, like that you like have in your mind all the time? Because me and Illmac always quote The Departed.
Yeah.
He was saying that
Where the fuck were you?
Oh
yeah. I gave you the wrong address.
Yeah, where the fuck were you? That guy is hilarious.
You were saying Bill Murray, right? From like
I was telling him like I should do an Ill Murray tape. And like just do all my favorite Bill Murray quotes from all different, almost like some cult classic, but just Bill Murray quotes from all different any movie. You know what I mean,
dude? Honestly, my answer to that is like, while there are like my favorite lines and quotes from like more serious dramatic movies, a lot of it's shit from comedies, bro. Like Friday, like, oh, he gonna cry in the car. It's little lines like that, or when Redman and How High is like, what the fuck?
You probably love that in battle rap then. Friday is so quoted.
That's the type of shit that lives in my head on repeat. It's like a lot of one-liners from comedy.
Dewey Cox.
Shit. Oh yeah, you don't want no parts of this shit. That was freaking transcendental, Paul McCartney. Shit like that though. You know what I'm saying? 60% of the time it works. Every time. It's like that's the shit that I always am reliving. It's a lot of lines from comedies, bro.
For sure.
You know what I'm saying? Like, I could pick like a crazy dialogue from like a fucking Tarantino movie or some shit, but it's always the comedy that I keep coming back to, like in my head. Yeah,
definitely.
I was gonna use on the thumbnail a Bill Murray quote where it's like it's raining cats and dogs, mass hysteria. Do you know what I'm talking about?
No, what's that from?
Do you not know where that's from?
Well, maybe. I'm sure.
Maybe it's not Bill Murray. Maybe I'm wrong.
No, what? I again, terrible memory. So
he's like it's chaos, people in the streets. It's gonna be raining cats and dogs, mass hysteria. I think it's from Ghostbusters, or
I was gonna say, is that Groundhog's Day? Isn't he?
One of those.
I think he's a weatherman.
He's like in a
weatherman
in a brown. I only know this because
I think
hip-hop.
that's Groundhog's Day because I'm pretty sure he's like a
He's a weatherman.
Let's see.
Yeah, he's like a weatherman in it. I'm pretty sure.
He's gonna cry in the car. Yeah, I want to spend Red's money.
Man, if I could do this.
Nah, my always loved. I hate him.
That's
it's Ghostbusters.
That's Megan
It was
Good.
Ghostbusters.
Yeah.
Oh shit.
That's Megan Good.
Dude, I think I learned that.
Living together, mass hysteria.
Yeah,
Human sacrifice, dogs and cats living together, mass hysteria.
I was gonna put that in the thumbnail.
That's fire.
But I'm like, nobody's gonna understand what this is. A little inside joke.
Yeah.
Ghostbusters, dude. Ghostbusters, like
what's bro's name?
Vigo.
Vigo. The, villain
in the second one.
Oh, the second.
The painting
one,
that comes.
Yeah.
Bro, but Ghostbusters as a kid was a little creepy. Like I loved it and it was fun. I used to watch it, but like especially number 2, bro.
Number 2 was scary.
The dude was creepy and like
there was
the dog
his little
creatures.
Lackey. His little lackey was like all slithery.
The dog
like,
creatures in the first one, and then just the way like the ooze in the
came out of the
sewers
bathtub.
is, and like the painting. Like when I was a kid, it was like that shit was like
2 was
mad
scary.
creepy, bro.
1 is like the Marshmallow Man, right?
Yeah. But
like
there's
the
like
bad guy.
but there's because like
Isn't
Sigourney
that a
Weaver.
tire guy though.
Michelin.
Nah,
Man?
it's the Ghost.
Yeah.
It's like the state puff. It's the marshmallow. Nah,
Yeah.
But in Ghostbusters,
They look
it's the
so
marshmallow.
similar,
Yeah, in
though.
Ghostbusters, it's the marshmallow.
Interesting.
Stay puffed or go puffed. But fucking, there's some crazy shit in the
Go
first
puffed.
one though, because fucking Sigourney Weaver gets possessed and shit, and then like there's like the 2 big dog creatures and shit. Like as a kid, that shit creeped me out. But I love Ghostbusters. Like. Yeah, there's a few movies like that were creepy. Labyrinth creeped me out.
Labyrinth was.
Labyrinth is a weird.
Yeah,
even just how the creatures are and shit. Like they're just.
That's Guillermo, right?
Nah, not Labyrinth.
It's not.
No, I'm
Is
pretty
that
sure
his?
it is.
Damn, is that his debut?
Yeah,
If that is, that's amazing. I didn't know that.
I'm pretty sure it is.
I feel
That
like
was
it's
his, like
that's
breakout
too
or
old.
whatever.
You could be right though, that's lit because I don't know offhand who directed Labyrinth.
Jim Henson.
Really?
Yeah.
The
Interesting.
Labyrinth.
Yeah.
David, that interesting.
Right. 1986.
Yeah, David Bowie, Jennifer Connelly.
Oh, you're talking about the dude. I'm so
Pan's Labyrinth.
dumb. I was thinking
Yeah.
when you
No,
said
that shit's creepy
I
too.
was
though.
thinking Pan's Labyrinth. That's
Yeah,
why I was
yeah,
like
yeah.
the
I saw
monster with the eyes.
That shit's creepy.
on the hands. I was thinking Pan's Labyrinth,
Yeah,
which
yeah.
is bruh.
That's
Yeah, which
Guillermo
is
del
him,
Toro.
Yeah.
That movie's creepy too, though. Pan's Labyrinth. The creature design is extra creepy and that shit.
It was like magical / like, oh shit, this is kind of creepy too, you know. But yeah, I always make that mistake when Labyrinth, because as I think of that first, and then because I was born in '86.
Yeah. Labyrinth is.
We got a lot of cool movies people are talking about in the chat.
What are they talking about?
Buffalo 66. You guys remember that movie?
No.
Vincent Gallo.
Uh-huh.
I think that's his name, the director. It's fire. Like me and Nelson grew up on that. Let's see. Hereditary. You guys have seen that,
Yeah,
right?
I've seen Hereditary.
Oh, that shit's crazy.
The director also did another movie called what is it? It's like they're in like fucking Sweden and it's like a cult.
Oh, No, you're talking about The Ritual, right?
No, it's not called The Ritual.
Oh, okay, because they're like in the like. Not Sweden. I think they're in like the Swiss Alps in that movie, The Ritual, which is crazy.
He's coming out with a new movie though. Somebody was talking about it in the chat. So, but yeah, if you guys have any questions you want to talk to Illmac and Chase about, since we're live,
Drop
this is how
them
we're
in
going
the
to
chat,
take advantage
man.
of the live shit.
We're Earthlings tap the fuck in.
Yeah, we're gonna.
Midsummer? Is that?
Midsommar or whatever.
Midsummer. Yeah, that's
shit
it.
was-
Yeah,
I never
shit was
saw that.
crazy.
dude, it's really good.
Oh,
It's
you didn't?
Nah,
Oh, that shit's
I never
crazy.
saw it.
It's creepy as fuck.
Yeah,
I think I watched
super
it
creepy.
twice.
Yeah,
Or at least once and a
super-
half. Like
yeah.
Okay, I'll check it out. I remember when people were going crazy about it.
The electronics came to life and came after humans.
Yeah, someone said, what was the wild 80s movie where the electronics came alive and came after humans?
AI with Will Smith.
The brave little toaster.
I don't know what that.
You ain't talking about Johnny Number 5. That was my shit back in the
Yeah,
day.
that's what I was thinking.
Now, you know what was... What's the one? Fuck, what's it called? I think it's with Dennis Quaid, but it's where they like get injected into somebody's like bloodstream, and they're like in like a ship inside his body.
Oh my god,
bro, that shit was my joint. What the fuck is it called, bro? It's from the 80s for sure, but it's like they're able to shrink down to like molecule size, but they like get inside this dude's body, and they're like in a ship, like cruising through his bloodstream and shit.
They on some Magic School Bus.
Yeah, bro. And I'm sure if I watch it now,
Inner
probably
Space.
be corny. Yeah, that's it.
Yeah, just I
That's
just typed
it.
in Dennis Quaid
Yep.
bloodstream.
Whenever I hear the
That's
name
it.
Dennis Quaid, I think of
Inner
Total
Space.
Recall. Just because bruh's name is Quaid.
Oh yeah, Quaid. Yeah, Quaid. Yeah.
Oh my god, that's so funny.
Hey, bro, hey, dog. When I saw Total Recall as a kid, the chick
So
with the
awesome.
three
The three
tits
tits.
was like,
Mind blowing,
dude. Me and my brother were going bananas over
Whoa, there
that,
could
bro.
be
Like,
three?
what the fuck? She has 3 tits. Like, what the, bro? That was mind blowing as
That
a
movie
kid.
is
bro.
still pretty fucking raw.
I haven't watched Total Recall. I should go back and. I
it's
ran
crazy.
back. I ran back. Terminator 1 recently.
So awesome.
So good.
Two.
And 2. I watched 1
Two,
and 2.
yeah.
2 is one of my
The
favorite
one,
movies of all
yeah.
time. But I'm down to, and I rewatched Predator, the OG one.
Perfect movie.
I
Let's
watched
go.
Prey, and I loved Prey, and I was like,
Yeah.
let me go back and watch the first
The
Predator.
OG.
And
That's a movie I quote all the time.
yeah,
Predator. Such a good one.
I'd be down to go back and watch a few of those old Arnold movies because, like, as a kid, those were the shit, bro.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah,
Arnold and like Stallone and Van Damme. Like,
Yeah.
yeah. But yeah,
Goats.
I'd be down to go back and watch Total Recall. I never watched the reboot. I assume it's nowhere near as good as the original. But
Yeah,
I
yeah.
never watched the one with Colin Farrell or
Yeah,
whatever.
yeah, it's
and I like
I
Colin
didn't
Farrell.
even know that was a
Yeah, they
thing.
rebooted Total Recall like a little while back. You know how they do now. They reboot everything.
I know we rebooted this podcast.
Yeah. But I don't know. I love the nostalgia, but besides like classic movies, what happens a lot of the times though is when you go back and watch those movies, it's like they're not as good as you remember them a lot of the time. You know what I'm saying? Because you're just blinded by the nostalgia of it.
Of course.
And you perceive things differently when you're a kid. Things seem a lot more
Yeah.
mythical and a lot more
You have wonderment on your side.
magnified and like, you know what I'm saying? Yeah. But there's obviously those that stand the test of time. You can go back. And I love that. Like, when I'm like, oh, yeah, dude, I should run that back. And when it's good, it's always exciting. Like, when something holds up, stands the test of time. That's always,
Definitely.
yeah, for sure.
The classics. Desi said that movie she was talking about was called Maximum Overdrive. Do you remember that? I don't remember that either.
Maximum Overdrive?
Yeah.
Is that with, who's in that?
I don't know. I think she just described it as
I remember that.
definitely a toaster.
It's not Val Kilmer.
It's like the trucks are like driving in a circle and they like trap somebody.
I know I've
Stephen
seen
King
it.
is in it.
It's probably a King film then.
Oh,
He
I
would
know this
cameo in
movie.
his
Yeah.
shit.
It is the one with the fucking with the truck. Yeah. My dad
It's like
showed me that
evil
movie.
Transformers. Let's go.
Yeah, my dad showed me that movie when I was a kid.
Someone earlier asked, is winter coming? And the answer is always been the same. Winter is coming. So my plan is basically to put it out at like the end of the year. So next winter. But leading up to that, I'm dropping a song every week on Patreon, patreon.com/illmactv. I just dropped a song today that I think we can jump into playing. But also, you know, I only did like one music video for spring.
For
We only-
all
for
of them.
any of the
We only did
seasons.
most of them.
So what I was just thinking of the other day was like I want to start doing visuals and start like re-pushing all the seasons, even if it means putting out, like I always had the idea to put out expansion packs for each season. So maybe like on the anniversaries or something like that, putting out something related to each season, spring, summer, and autumn, and starting the season's campaign essentially over, and then dropping winter at the end of the year.
Yeah,
so that's the tentative plan, you know.
Oh, dude! Someone said the Wizard was ill. I love the Wizard. I've never wanted a Nintendo Power Glove so bad in my life.
How do I
remember that shit with Fred Savage? He was like,
No,
it was like a video game movie. He was like, it was like a Mario championship. It was like, and that's where he the Nintendo Power Glove, bro. Fucking your girl with a Nintendo Power Glove.
Dude, I was about to say though, whenever I hear Nintendo Power Glove,
is that Bo Rat?
Yeah, Bo Rat. And dude, I think he said that to Metaforce in Scribble Jam 04.
Yeah, he did, Kyle.
Yeah. I'm pretty sure. But that's automatically where mine. You said, oh, with the Nintendo Power, I'm like, Bo Rat. Instantly. Yeah. That's where my mind went.
Florence Pugh is in Midsummer? Oh, I didn't know that. I like Florence Pugh.
Yeah, my brother's obsessed with her.
Yeah, I
He's
like her.
in love with her.
Yelena in the MCU.
Oh, Last Action Hero, I love.
Last Action, dude, Jack the Ripper.
I was like,
Jack the Ripper was the bad guy in Last Action Hero.
Yeah.
That movie was mind blowing. How
you
the
know
kid jumped into
about
the
Last Action Hero?
What?
Whose father was a part of that?
Who? Lush?
Yeah, Lush's dad was a part of that.
Oh, shit.
His father fucking directed it
Yeah.
or something like that.
Dude, that's almost as sick as directing Time Cop.
Yeah.
He also
Van
directed
Damme is the
Relic.
absolute.
Yeah,
remember that
Relic. I
movie?
remember Relic. Yeah. I remember Relic.
All right, how
Relic
do we
was dope.
fucking get your SoundCloud
Look,
shit?
look, no, this big thing is the SoundCloud player.
So you okay? Hold on, let me pull this up for the people to see, and then we can talk about it.
Yes.
Last Action Hero was trippy though, and I'll always remember
La Brea Tar Pits.
but I always remember when the kid first comes into the movie, and like I remember getting a kick out of like there's like a Terminator 2 poster of Blockbuster, but it's Stallone on the motorcycle instead of Arnold.
Oh, yeah.
I remember as a kid being like, "Oh, that's the coolest fucking thing I've ever seen."
Super meta.
Because I love, it was super meta, and I love Terminator 2. Like that's one of the movies that like. That movie made a huge impact on my life because my dad took me and my brother to see that when we were on vacation. I was like 6, and that was like, bro, seeing Terminator 2 as a 6-year-old.
Everything about that movie is so dope.
Oh my god, this is the greatest spectacle I've ever witnessed.
Yeah, so many cool. You know the scene where the helicopter flies under the overpass?
Uh-huh.
Basically, the crew was like, "We're not gonna film this. This is insane. Like somebody's gonna die."
Yeah,
because they really fucking flew a helicopter under like a highway overpass, like so little room for air, and they're just like, "We're not doing this. Like this is too gnarly."
Yeah.
And James Cameron's like, "Fuck it, I'll film it." So he filmed that. Like he like somebody was driving the car, he's operating the camera.
Dude, that's fucking sick as fuck.
So
bro.
awesome, man.
Damn.
Yeah,
that's wild.
The VFX in that still hold up. They're groundbreaking. The soundtrack.
People
is
like,
so
we're not gonna
awesome.
do that. Someone's gonna die in the helicopter. He's like, I'll film someone dying.
He doesn't care. He's like, my movie will get made.
Everyone's like, I don't think that's
We
the
don't
risky
care.
part of this equation.
Dude, the effects really are still good in that movie.
They are.
I
They're
watched
incredible.
it recently, and it's like
The hand.
it's so good. Yeah, or when he fucking stabs the kid's mom and shit like through the milk carton.
Yeah,
the
Wolfie-
mouth or the
Wolfie's
dad.
right here.
Wolfie. Yeah. Your dog is dead. Oh, your parents are dead. Whatever the fuck he says right there to you, bro. It's a shame that none of the newer Terminators were.
I like
because it's
Salvation,
such
kind of.
Yeah, Salvation was cool. Is that the Christian Bale one?
I didn't even watch it.
That was a Christian
Really?
Bale one?
Yeah, the Christian
I
Bale
did
one.
like that. And it's such a dope property and franchise that they could make such a dope Terminator movie.
Yep.
And it just sucks that most of them, the new ones,
There's
aren't
so
good.
many movies
'Cause
like
Terminator
that.
3 is one of the worst movies I've ever seen.
Yeah, it's really
Terminator
bad.
3 is... Usually I try to find the silver lining in things, but Terminator 3 is dog shit. That movie's bad.
Is that Genesis?
No, that's
Genesis is a different one.
Yeah,
Dude,
Terminator
isn't
3 was-
Terminator in the same universe as some other
Matrix.
crazy story?
The Matrix.
It's The Matrix?
The girl who wrote it said that Terminator is the prequel to The Matrix. Yeah, like the girl whose book it's based. Dude, you can pull it up and she's talking about it.
So you're talking about old girl who like says they was stolen from her from like the Wachowskis and shit?
Yeah,
the Matrix?
Like whoever wrote that shit.
Yeah, because she said she wrote both of them.
Yeah,
and they were both part of the same world.
Whoa, I did not know that.
The Terminator's the prequel to the Matrix.
That is fucking amazing. Holy shit.
Now
talk about a creative.
Think what they could do with that if they actually...
And it's supposedly the Matrix like stolen. Like she was shopping it for years in Hollywood.
Yeah.
I don't know if it's been disproven or not, but and nobody was fucking with it. And then
that's another one that was a disappointing reboot. The Matrix could have been so fucking cool, bro. It could have been so good. It was so bad, bro. I was so excited for that.
Yeah.
It could have been great, but nah.
Terrible.
That sucks. Someone said, "Watch." Are y'all watching The Last of Us? Hell yeah!
Yeah, just
that
finished.
Shit was great. Watch that shit every week.
Shit's wild. I did not expect Ellie to actually die in the finale.
I was gonna say the ending was cool. Watch that.
Yeah. Speaking of the Matrix and the Chosen One, you know what I'm saying? This is just the super force segue.
Great segue.
We're gonna do a watch as well. So after this, definitely tune in over there. But since you tuned in live here, we're gonna give you the preview of the song we dropped today on Patreon, Steak and Shrimp, featuring Non Fierro, produced by Chase Moore. Non is the steak, apparently, and I am the shrimp.
So go to Illmac TV, sign up to the Patreon. There's new songs dropping every single week. We're doing oh my god, I almost said it. Meanwhile on Earth every single week. A lot of other content, raising the bar.
Yep. And there are like 3 or 4 of them. Just
and that's
on the
all
brink
going
of
on the
finished.
Patreon first. So.
Support. We're dropping a song every week that's only on Patreon. You know, there's a private SoundCloud playlist, and that's what we're about to play the new joint on right now.
So just click this.
Yep. Come on. One thing I will say is the background behind how we started our verses is when we're in the studio, me and Non, I don't know if you remember this, he was like, because he starts his verse with surf and turf burrito with the steak and shrimp, and we're like all laughing, and he made some joke of like, whenever, like, when in doubt, just start the verse with like food items. just start your verse. Surf and turf burrito. Yeah.
Sounds fire.
You ain't on game?
I don't think I mean, it makes sense.
Oh, I've had a great surf and turf burrito.
Come on, they got it.
Surf and turf burrito is gas. I will fucking.
I will say his first line's redundant, but we won't,
but he's right. Hey, yeah. If you don't know where to start, just say like an exquisite food dish.
So we both do that. I followed suit in his. I followed in his suit. Hey yo, let's go.
Surf and turf burrito with the steak and shrimp. Pay the grip. Had the taco truck with their omega skimp. Out the way, had to make the trip. Scrape the whip. Only handicap parking available. Had to fake the limp. I play to win, lose on occasion, learn from it.
I'm just picturing it. I almost picture him getting out and then no one's seeing him, but then noticing someone sees him. Like, so he might take like 1 or 2 steps without the limp.
Yep.
Shit.
Yeah, and it's all to go to this specific taco truck. There was only handicap parking available. Had to fake the limp.
We'll have to fake the limp way, had to make the trip, scrape the whip. Only handicap parking available, had to fake the limp. I play to win, lose on occasion, learn from it. Turn stomach shrooms, got me pacing. Cruise on a spaceship, booze by the cases. I'm bound to black out like the bubonic plague hit. Baby, Air Max is looking like the Gold Ranger. Closet flooded from the drip on my coat hangers. Big and tall, so my clothes tailored. Enrich it all, I just cop now and old later. Vision 2020, whip a 08er. The bumper stickers say Go Raiders. As I'm in the scope, getting more paper. Grind until I go major. I'm a pro skater, Lone Ranger. Need my own acre with no neighbors. Unless I find me a homemaker. She say I can have her if I don't claim.
Kale and sea moss and the berry smoothie. Bumping
that was my version. His was a surf and turf burrito.
Yeah.
Mine was kale and sea moss and the berry smoothie.
That's hard.
That was we were both just talking about our breakfast that day.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Ever if I don't claim it.
And sea moss and the berry smoothie. Bumping Cali Uchis with a pair of groupies. Y'all birds of parrots, it's apparent to me. Parody, scary movie. I'm overbiting like Gary Busey. Drinking my cup, straight from the mud. Keep the water 9.5 pH and above. Adderall and a Sprite dissolving. Sold my soul at a silent auction. My mind is a missile silo launching. Out of body fly on the wall. Spider crawling down my spinal column. Either I'm high or the sky is falling. Chief like I'm Wiggum. She telling me I'm tripping. Kick the chick out the car cause she never seen the Simpsons. Yeah, the energy is different. I make you see when you listen. Look in my eyes, you can see the ambition. Everything in the present, I seen from a distance. I seen the past and future meet in an instant. My mind wanders space, try to think with intention. And only outcomes are ones I speak into existence. Illy.
Come on.
Crazy.
That's that 80s sunset driving in a Lamborghini. I'm in the Lamborghini. Non's in the helicopter driving into the sun down the what's the joint on the what's the coastal highway? PCH.
Yep.
You know what I'm saying,
bro? And to bring it back full circle, the beat titles. That beat was called Law and Order because I felt like it kind of sounded like the Law and Order theme song, or at least like the instruments of it.
That's hilarious.
Yeah, that beat was called Law and Order.
Fire. But yeah, if you want to go bump the whole playlist, that's the 5th installment of the weekly joints on patreon.com/illmactv. Appreciate everybody tapping in. I'm liking the vibe of doing it live. So we'll probably be back next week. Tap in with us. Meanwhile
Earthlings,
on
baby.
Earth.
Surf and turf burrito with the steak and shrimp.